Today we are going to read chapter 15, A Fish Tale. I think Aaron is going to read it. So could you read it, please?
Through long practice, good or harmful actions become second nature until they are effortless. Thus, through the patient practice of virtue, the bodhisattva becomes intent on acting solely for the benefit of others. As a bodhisattva, the Buddha was once born as the king of fishes in a beautiful lake. As the king of fishes, the bodhisattva cared for his subjects as if they were his own offspring, attending to their every need. Through skillful means, he taught them kindness and restraint so that they lived together in harmony in the waters of the lake. But it so happened that one day, Parganya, the god of the rain, failed to provide the rain needed to replenish the lake. Instead, the sun beat down and the dry wind blew until the lake was no more than a stagnant pond. Flocks of birds began to line the shore, eager for the moment when the gasping fish would be exposed to their hungry beaks. The distress of the fish troubled the heart of the bodhisattva. He thought, what can I do? These poor fish are trapped and will soon be at the mercy of the plundering birds. Considering long and hard, the bodhisattva saw one hope for his suffering subjects. Gazing up at the sky, he uttered this prayer: I cannot recall even a single instance where I have harmed another living being, even when I was in great distress. By the power of this truth, may the gods fill this lake with rain. By the power of the truth, by the store of the bodhisattva's merit, and by the favor of the gods, nagas, and yakshas, clouds began to gather from all directions. The sky grew dark, shielding the lake from the beating sun. Lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. Streams of clear rain began to fall. Water from the hillsides rushed into the lake, scaring off the waiting birds, while bringing joy and hope to the beleaguered fish. The bodhisattva continued his plea. Roar, Parganya, pour down your life-giving waters. Hearing this cry, Shakra, the lord of the gods, was astonished. He appeared before the bodhisattva and said, O Lord of the fishes, through the power of your truth and your untold merit, you have caused the skies to open. I would be to blame if I did not support the noble deeds of one whose sole concern is the benefit of others. I am a friend to the virtuous, and by my power, from now on, this lake shall never again be visited by drought. Those who practice good conduct will be successful and thrive, even in this world, and more so in the next.
Thank you very much, Aaron Sperry. I knew there are a lot of animal story in Jataka Tales, but not only animals. There is a fish story too. So sometime when we read Dharma teachings, right? I think it's really important to read wisely. Sometimes this kind of story is even hard to understood by children. Looks like someone is in the sky and ready to pour the water like rain. Then we are down there not getting rain, and and then as usual, animals are talking. But if we read it wisely, if we try to understand what is the point there, and then and these kind of teachings make a lot of sense. The story is simple, right? So the Bodhisattva, who is the previous life of Buddha, was a king of fishes. Meaning is a kind of leader, sort of, right? Who has a responsible, who has a power among different kind of fishes in there. what is very unique there? The unique thing is that the leader fish is very compassionate and cares about his friend, other fish. So among the fish, they are so respecting each other, right? So it's really talking about a leader and followers, right? If you have like a wrong leaders, then there's a lot of argument, a lot of conflict, a lot of problems among followers or people, right? Here, fishes. So whatever among the fish or people. So when your leader is very kind and try to understand how to reconcile things, and especially not using divisive speeches, and that makes all people are friendly to each other and living happily together, and that is happening in that a pound of leg, right? A small leg, I think. Everything is doing well. Fish are kind, leader is kind, they are doing very well. But suddenly they got problem, right? What is the problem? The problem is a resource of water. It really sounds like South India. Sometimes we have small lakes, water come out from ground. So then, doesn't that depend that much on rainfall water. But in very dry place, like the tropical area, everything is dependent on rainwater. So if there's no rain on the time, all small lakes can be get drought. So like that. So they need water every summer, right? Enough water. Otherwise, lakes cannot last long whole year, and then all animals would die. My own experience, like long time ago, I got 2 turtles, and then one passed away after a few weeks. I don't know, that must be my fault. The one lived for 6 months. Yeah, keep it. And then I feel like bored to keeping it. Meaning is, I feel like bad putting a small animal in a box and even then I have to worry about maybe the bird will take it or something. Then I decided let it go in somewhere. All right. So I don't know even it's the right thing to do due to environmental issues. But that time, I want to release it in a lake. Okay, so which lake? Then my mind says a lake that can last long whole year. I cannot release an animal in the lake that get dry during the winter time. In South India, most small lakes become totally dry in the winter time, maybe end of winter. So then then I at that point I tried to look around there. Not many lakes can that last long. There are some lakes, big lake, they can, keep the water for whole year to next summer. So then I found one that I released there. So by the way, that story is true, right? So the lake depend on rainwater to maintain there as lake. And then, they are not getting rainfall on the time. And lake is almost getting dry, and that is a situation, right? And then problem is not caused by fish. That's the point, right? And then why those fish are suffering? And that is talking about interconnected karma. So, and that is the frame of the story, right? So then. So what is interesting thing is what is the cause of no rainfall on the time, right? No rainfall on the time, and here in this short one didn't mention, but in the bigger story, it's talking about two causes of no rainfall. And the first one is decrease of good karma of people. Right? So people's good karma decreased. Then another one is saying like careless of the children of God in heaven. That's an interesting thing, like the children of God's being wild and not doing their job, sort of, or doing something wrong. These two things, bring something in my head. The decrease of good karma of people, right? So it's talking about, the collective karma. Last Sunday, we talked about planet Earth, right? How to preserve the planet and what is the how important is it. We talk like that. Then we are also talking about collective karma a little bit. So here same thing is talking about collective karma, meaning is like karma that we share together, like the oxygen that we share together, right? Something like that. So then, and that the collective karma is karma that provide the outside thing what we need in general, such as a good weather condition and good air things, all things that we need to survive. So then what will decrease our good karma? Like, bad actions. Engaging in a bad action decrease good karma. And also I think that way, if one person, a particular one person did very serious thing, that might not going to affect that much for the collective karma. But a group of people, like many people, they did together the bad thing continuously, then that can decrease the collective good karma. So then there are a lot of bad actions. Among them, mainly like the bad actions like killing, torturing, and also intentional harmful actions. So then in that way, the fish in the lake did not do any problem, did not cause any problem there, but the outside world may doing crazy things. That's why there's no rainfall, and that affect the fish life in small lake. That's the second one, the careless children of gods in heaven, and that is very interesting subject, right? So what it could be, who could be those, the children of gods who is being careless and wild. And at that point, I immediately I feel like, oh, there's not, something that floating in the air like cloud or like, those birds who always keep flying in the sky. What do you call it? Yeah, swallows, right? Something like that. They're tiny birds, always keep flying in the sky. I think they make a mud nest or something like that. So they keep flying. It's rarely to see. It's very rare to see they are sitting on the branch or something. So sometimes you feel like the gods are flying in the sky all the time. They are like those birds. They're doing something. No, I don't think that it is that way. So it's pretty simple here. The careless children of God. Okay, who is God? Who has power, right? Who has power, right? That's very simple. Who has power? Sounds like God to me. And then, children of God, meaning is like, who doesn't have, something in the head, meaning is, who doesn't care, who doesn't have, those kind of self-inspection or all these kind of things, mindfulness or whatever. And that is pretty simple nowadays, like those people who have power, right, to affect whole planet. Meaning is who have a lot of money to do, if one person carry a axe to cut tree, how many tree he can cut or she can cut? Maybe 1, 2, 10, 100, right? A person who have money, they want to cut tree, they can cut whole, like in place. They can make it empty in few days, right? So at that point, the people who have power, who doesn't care about, then they are using their money. That could be their own money. That could be money that they got from their own parents, right? So when they are not careless, and due to their action, and there's no rainfall. So I can read like that way. So that's happening, right? We are talking about climate change, and climate change, big issue. So no rainfall meaning is no rainfall on the time. That's the thing, right? You don't get rainfall on the time. You don't get warm on the time. Everything mess up here and there. So these things, I don't think that's happening because of a sudden God falling asleep or not doing their work or being lazy. No, it's like mainly causing by people. In India, they have like a very good system to protect their forests, and they have. And there are a lot of individual thieves want to cut trees. But they have a good law to protect it. Then even the they could not do that much. When the law provided, permission to somebody to do it who has power to do it, they will clean everything in few weeks, and that's happening. That's happening. So then in the last week I was talking about law and the environmental issue, right? So sometimes we need law, right? So we need law. Sometimes where the kindness or right advice, right teaching doesn't work. The law works there. But law is not ultimate thing to depend on, because people also can break the law, or they can dismantle the law. And then as a poem, the author says that, and then when there's no water, then fish are suffering, and that moment there's a race between the water and life. So meaning is when there's no water, the fish will die, right? So their life is racing with water, meaning it's going together, and that is very true, right? If there's no water, nobody can live. We can live without food for 45 days. We cannot live without water for more than 4 days, right? So and that is the thing. In the teaching, it says it's talking about fish, but not only fish. Everyone depend on the water. That's why I always give here 2 water cup. That's a joke, But truly we need water all the time. So then That's why in His Holiness teaching, he is talking about environment a lot. Whenever he talked about Tibet, he like to talk about water. That Tibet is a source of water, and that is very important. Yeah, so when I see that, when fish are like struggling between, like struggling to live or die, and that is depend on the water, I feel like, oh, that's not only fish, all of us are same thing. Whenever we talk about climate issue, it's also talking about water. When there's no water on the time, then all food are also depend on the water, what you eat. Then there's no right water, and those fish are struggling in lake. Then the king of fish, the Bodhisattva, also want to do something. And there's one example, the fish. What fish can do, right? What fish can do? Fish doesn't have legs. They don't have hands, right? So what fish can do? They cannot walk other place by their own feet, right? So at that moment, then there's one thing. Bodhisattva was, pray, right? Prayers. And especially here, virtue, the power of virtue. So that is a very interesting thing, because where everything is felt, there's only one thing that can help, is the virtue may help. Other than that, so sometimes when we're talking about environment issue, especially like climate change issue, there are a lot of people that are saying it's too late now. We cannot do anything. Too much green gas in the right in the sky. They are blocking all heat down there, and even we try to do something, we cannot do that much. Some people says that, but nobody says that still there's a hope, right? Or still there's something to do, right? So what we can do is, in this world, if we have harmony in here, then if we care each other, if we live as a compassionate people, then we try to love each other. And that is how we accumulate virtue together, right? And that way, there may be, there's hope. Meaning is that may help. A lot of miracle things are happening for individuals all the time. That is like, really interesting thing to me. Like sometimes we don't have anything from outside. We failed. The medicine failed, right? And then, there's no solution from outside. Then if you have a virtue, maybe, there's some still hope there. As earlier, right, the cause of no rainfall, we talk two things, right? The decrease of good karma and the wildness of gods in heaven. These two things. It also tells us two things, right? One is virtue inside, what we have. What is the cause from outside, what we have? Both are important. We depend on both. If outside is totally like in a collapse, and there's very little chance to live on virtue. If you have no virtue, even the outside things looks perfect. Still, there's no guarantee, right? To be okay. So sometimes we have like saying like things like living dead, right? Living dead, sort of. The outside you are perfect, but inside you are like dead person sometimes. It could that's possible when the medical when I sometimes see that people like that, their physical condition is perfect, but they could not think, and they even could not they live like in a coma. So right, so we need virtue like inner strength and inner power. Then if you have a virtue, if you don't have outer thing, then you got disease, there's no cure, then even you are very strong person inside, still you have to admit that you cannot do it anymore, sort of. Therefore, what I was saying is the virtue, the power of virtue, the bodhisattva, right? And the fish bodhisattva. And as a fish could not do anything, could not do anything by hand, or move around to carry those fish out, but still what fish can do is do prayer. And that is also talking about the power of prayers. Sometimes you cannot do anything, right? If someone is suffering next to you, someone is getting problems far away, somebody even you cannot send money to them. There are like situations like that, right? There's no way to send money there, no way to reach there. But are you helpless this moment, or you cannot do anything? No. Still you can do prayers. You can pray for them. And that is, here saying, the prayer is something that you can do. So, that in that way, I can read this fish story as a metaphor. If you become like fish, you could not do anything, but still, don't give up. Still, you can do pray for them. You can make best wishes for them, right? And that may help. And then most interesting part in this story, right? Even the animals can have a great heart, right? The fish can have a great heart. That's very interesting thing. Sometimes I kept fish long time ago. When I look at the fish, it's really hard to connect. It's totally different than bird. If you keep a bird little different, you can connect to the bird because bird can fly over you. You can touch the bird, right? Bird can show their expression. I don't say facial expression, but their body language, right? When you have a small fish, it's very hard to connect. Fish are in the water, you are outside of water, right? Even you don't touch each other. Even it doesn't seem like fish are looking at you, right? If you go to the hospital or somewhere, you can see those big, must be in Chinese restaurant. You can see those, the another fish. Something in Chinese restaurant, you can see the wrong fish, right? Not food one, something that in as a decoration. They are just swimming here and there. Doesn't look like they have even heart, right? But that's not true, right? Even the those fish, they have a whole thing in there. they have their own size of way of thinking, right? So in here, especially the Bodhisattva fish cares other fish, can pray. So how come, that, small or big, doesn't matter, right? That fish, I don't think that's a dolphin, right? Like regular fish. That regular fish, how can that fish can think like that? And that is abnormal. Normal, those small animals, they don't think that much. They only understand what to eat, how to fight, run. It's kind of, the Shantideva's thing, three-minded sort of, only thing like, oh, eat, something moves near my mouth, grab it, put it in the mouth, chew, right? If it is not eatable, throw it out. They look another one, sort of, small computer, sort of, like calculator, those, device sort of. But that fish is thinking like human being, better than human being. How come? And that is abnormal. And that's why that story is mentioned in here. Why? How come? It's saying because it's not because of that fish's own ability from its own body. Is about from the fish's previous life. In the previous life, that fish practiced virtuous mind, being very compassionate, right? When fish was human being, did great thing and always thinking great. Because of that, in this life, even it's turned into a fish body, still that can have great thought. At this point, the one stanza and that taught by a Tibetan great scholar earlier, the Sakyapindita, the stanza that I'm always being sarcastic of it. So, right, he said that. I will read the translation here. Even if one is to die the next morning, today one must study. Though one may not become a sage or master in this life, the knowledge is safely deposited for future lives. Just as riches safely deposited can later be reclaimed. So, that usually that stanza, I say, that is kind of macho. That's kind of, saying, I don't believe that. If you want to die tomorrow, why you should study today? Why you learn something, right? Sometimes I say this to, like, well-studied monk or like other people. And many people immediately attacked me. Yeah, they attacked me. Immediately they throw, they are all, the thorn or sort of things toward me. You are wrong. How can you say that person is wrong? That is like Sajja Pandita. You're not a great Pandita. You are not. Why? How can you say he is wrong? Right? Then, that they are not ready to accept at all. Then I say, how can you, sometimes I like to tease people to dig up what they think, to understand what they think. And then many people say, and they ask how it works. They say, no, we'll study and then we'll have next life. I said, no, if you study here, how can you work that next life? Everybody has to learn things, right? So then, surely they could not change my mind. They did not. But, I still find they read it different than me. So, when Sajja Pandita says, if you want to die tomorrow, you should study. something. I don't mean he will tell you study how to do plumbing job, how to wire the things here and there, how to learn how to put a floor, or I don't think he is talking these things. If he is talking like that thing, still I think, okay, I would not. If I know I'm gonna die tomorrow, I will not learn any sort of these things. Right? I don't want. Why? I don't want to be a plumber next life. Just kidding. Right? Who knows, what could be. But in general, right, to be a plumber, you can learn that moment, right? So at this point, I think he is not talking about this kind of, a general study. He is talking about, teachings that taught by Buddha. How to be compassionate, how to be, wise, how to be someone that have patience. Right? Study these things. How to meditate, how to be calm, how to be honest, how to be less selfish. All those studies, then if you learn it, even you are dying tomorrow, that may, affect next life. And that could be something that you store in things there as deposit, you can, claim it, reclaim it next life. So that thing, this the Sayat Pandit teaching is connected with this the Jataka tells story. Right here, the king of fish, or fish king, or the leader, right? When leader was human being in previous life, then study and practice how to be how to be virtuous, or how to practice virtue, and how to avoid non-virtue, right? How to be compassionate, how to be kind. And then he practiced that and meditated on that when he was human being. And then this life, even become a fish, it still can have this kind of great thought in heart. So then at this point I accept the Sajjad Pandita's teaching. Other one is really hard for me. Maybe I'm not ready to understand this point. So actually I am being sarcastic about others who want to study all the time. I was saying, you want to study something, you do, but whole life is not to study. You have to use what you already have studied. Sometimes, in my understanding, some people keep studying. They never end, they are studying things. One point is good. And one point, if you keep studying all the time, you are not thinking about how to use what you have studied. And then, it's like that you are earning things, never use it. People who earn whole life, never use things. Then one day, you will time up, right? Likewise, when you study, you have to study. That's very important. But why we have to study? Because we want to use it, right? Then instead of thinking always pointing, concentrating on study, also thinking about use it. That's why I especially treat people who are like scholars, like who are always reading books. I'm teasing them, So the point is, I'm thinking, whenever your mind says, I, need to learn and learn, then mind will block your other minds, want you to do something. Right? You feel always you are not ready. I think this is all about this Jataka tales, and this Jataka tales teach us a morality of avoiding divisive speech, right? That's why at the beginning, I think one is also the fish. When you look at the fish, there are very many fish can live together in a small spot without harming each other, right? So it's talking about friendship and harmony, right? So then the kingfish keep all fish friendly and harmony by avoiding divisive speech. Also teaching us the dependent nature, right? The rain, life, action, right? Without rainfall, the fish are dying, right? So they're depending, the fish life depend on the water, right? And then also these waterfalls, the rainfall are depend on people's action, their karma. It's talking about dependent nature. Then I also taught us the power of prayers. When nothing you can do, the prayers only there. It says the whole teaching is to point out the compassion and loving kindness as the foundation of Mahayana teaching. Because the fish king has loving kindness. Since the fish king has great loving kindness, it keeps all fish together, happily, friendly, right? The fish king has great compassion. Because of that, when there's no rain, he start to cry. He start to, yell at sky or start to pray. Yeah, so this is the whole teachings from these Jataka tales. And thank you very much for being here and listening these teachings. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.